Εξομολογήστε το Κύριο διαγραφός, αλληλούια, ότι στον αιώνα το έλεος αυτού, αλληλούια.
These people are the new army of Syria.
Right, gents. Are you Muslim or Christian? Cool. Why are you a Muslim?
Are you Christian?
Pardon?
Why are you Christian?
I believe in the veracity of the text, i.e. the Bible.
Which text?
The Bible, or the
Bible?
the Bible.
No, which Bible?
Well,
You have many Bibles.
give me an example.
You have many Bibles, right?
Can you give us an
Old Testament,
example?
New Testament.
Well, that's just progressive theology. So, for example, in Quran chapter 3, verse 50, it says, "For Isa was."
Forget Quran.
No, because you
Why
believe
you go with the
you
Quran
believe
for?
you
You know
believe
about Christianity
because
and-
you believe in the same thing.
No. But
Many different
where's the source?
Qurans according to your interpretation of what that means.
No.
No,
Let's stick
because
to the- let's stick to the Bible.
because for example,
Talk about your beliefs, yeah, not my beliefs.
because according to your own worldview, you would have more than one Quran.
Forget-
Why? Because if different sections revealed,
You
right?
said you're a Christian, yeah?
Yeah.
And I asked you.
I
which
follow
Bible.
both the Old and New Testament.
You follow the Old,
And New Testament.
New Testament.
Yes.
Okay. Now with the Bible, what version of the Bible do you follow?
Could you give me an example of different versions?
You got the Saint. What's it called? The different versions. What's it called, man? I can't remember the name now. Saint James, whatever. What is it? James,
Well, the King James. That's a
yeah.
translation.
Translation.
Do you understand that's translations of an English Quran, right?
Can I tell you my issue with
Yeah.
with like obviously the Bible?
Yeah.
Is that there's multiple versions, right?
Can you give me an example?
King James.
Well, that's translations. Okay,
forget-
those are
forget-
English translations. Now, of course, there's English translations of the Quran, like the International Sahih version,
let me
or for
rephrase.
example, the Dawa International version.
me rephrase
These
that.
are two different English translations of the same
No
Quran.
problem, no problem.
So, are there different versions of the Quran now?
Let me rephrase what I said.
Okay.
Old Testament and New Testament.
Okay. And do you not
different
understand? Within your worldview, right? You hold to the same thing. Now, I'm not saying that this refutes your critique. I'm just essentially saying that you should consider this when you say that the reason why I'm not a Christian is because there's different variations of the text.
Not just that,
So,
there's contradictions
hold
as
on
well.
1 second. So, we can go to the contradictions in one moment, but I just want to say this. So, you said there's the Old and New Testaments, i.e., the corpus of the books within the Old Testament and the corpus of the books which relate to the New Testament. Now, do you not agree, for example, that Allah revealed the Torah and Injil? Okay, so are these not two separate books of God?
Torah and Injil.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
They're two separate revelations. Yes.
Great, and I affirm the same thing. Bible just means collection of books. These are books revealed by the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
So we agree on the same thing. Now, how are you going to say there's different versions?
agree with
Are there different versions of the words of God
So-
according
so
to you?
The Torah, I believe in the original manuscript.
Of course, you're going to say, look, you're going to say, look, the...
Do you want to let me finish?
Yeah, you're going to say the books are corrupted. I don't really
wanna let
care.
me finish, though?
But the point is, are there different versions of the word
You
of
don't
God?
really care. So the
No, I don't care about this non sequitur that you're going to bring. That look, the Torah and Injil is corrupted. It's not the Old and New Testament.
I won't bring
Okay, my apologies. Go and say what you're going to
So,
say.
alright, so basically, I believe in the original manuscript that was revealed to Moses
Yes.
by God.
Okay.
Anything thereafter that was changed, interpreted, whatever, it's been corrupted. I believe in the original Injil that was revealed to Prophet Jesus.
Yes.
Right? Anything
that-
anything after that's been corrupted, added, taken out, I don't believe in it.
Okay. So, that was still not my point. You said
my point.
you said the
Okay, yeah.
versions of the Bible is according to what books are within the corpus of the Bible itself.
Say again, sorry?
Corpus just means collection.
No, say that. What do
You said
I said-
versions of the text are just defined by the different sections of the text
didn't say that.
itself. Well, that's what you implied.
No, but that's not. the
What
words
are
that
different
came out.
versions of the
Don't
Bible?
Put words in my mouth.
According to you, what are the versions of
Hold
the
on.
Bible?
First of all, don't put words in my mouth.
Okay, Okay, I'm going to verbatimly. I'm going to remember what you say verbatim and then bring it back to you. So, what does it mean to have different versions of the Bible?
Bro, do you want to have a discussion or is it
Okay,
like,
just clarify your position. What does it mean to have different versions of texts?
what does it mean to have different versions of text?
Yes.
According to the Bible?
Yes.
I don't know, bro. I don't believe in the Bible.
No, you said what version of the Bible, which means you possess an understanding, or you know there are different versions or variations of the
Did you
text.
hear what I said?
You said the Old and New Testament. Oh, you said there were corruptions. Now we're going to go back to that in one moment. But that is a non sequitur to what I'm saying. You said the versions of the Bible are both the Old and New Testament. These are the modes to which God has revealed His Scripture. These are books which at the time were revealed to these Old Testament prophets and revealed to the New Testament apostles and Paul.
Me saying the Old and New Testament was an answer to you asking me what versions of the Bible.
Yeah, okay. So versions of
I'm
the
not
biblical
implying
text.
anything else.
Okay, versions of the biblical texts are sections or parts of the text being revealed in different times. So if I were to ask you, are there different versions of the Word of God? You would say yes. Why? Because you affirm progressive theology, the concept that God reveals different.
I don't know how you're applying these beliefs of whatever's in your head to me. Like,
Well, I can demonstrate you
I'm
do.
my own
You literally
person, like-
conceded it on camera right here. Now, for example, Moses was given the Torah and Isa was given the Injil, and these are not each other or identical. What does that mean? Means that there are different versions according to your definition of the versions of the Bible. Okay, what does it mean to have different versions?
The Torah was revealed to the Prophet Moses.
And is the Torah the Quran?
What do you mean Torah?
Is the Torah identical to the Quran?
What do you mean identical?
So
Is the Torah the Quran?
For word, no.
Of course, okay. Then according to your definition, then, there's different versions of the Word of God.
No, there's not that version.
What's
So
it
the
mean
Torah-
to have
the Torah-
versions? Yeah.
The Torah was revealed to the Prophet Moses,
Yeah.
during that time.
Yes.
Then obviously same happened with the Injil.
Yes.
And then when the Quran came was the last final testament.
I say this about the New and Old
There's not
Testament.
version, man. I'm not talking about versions here. I'm talking about the books. that were-
Okay, so the Old and New Testament is not a version of the Bible. Great. According to my
say
worldview,
that.
We don't say
you said that. You said,
I
what
didn't say
version of the
anything.
Bible do you
I
read?
didn't say that.
Don't have any
On
words, man.
verbatim camera,
Alright, bro,
on
listen.
camera, you said, what
I don't care
version
about the camera.
what
I
version
didn't
of
say
the
that.
Bible do you follow? Do you follow the Old or New Testament? Now, you
said
said that
Injil.
these are not versions, okay? Now,
These are
for me,
different words.
I agree that according to the
Brother, can you back up,
Nicene
You're a bit too
Creed,
close, can you
the
back up?
Holy Spirit speaks for these people to which they write their books. Okay, that then therefore means that these books were revealed to different
Are you
people
the
by
point
the
score?
Holy
Are
people.
you the point score or something?
Pardon?
Are you the point score or something?
No.
It seems like it because you point words in a mouth that
Do
you
you know,
never
can I
said.
ask you, are you sincere?
Yes.
So why are you putting words in my mouth?
I am not. You said. I asked. You said what version of the Bible you read.
Do you know what it means
You
to be
said
sincere?
Old and New Testament. Did you not?
Huh?
I asked. You said what version of the Bible did you follow? I asked you to
No, no,
clarify what that means. You said Old or New
You
Testament.
said not what do I follow. You said what versions of the Bible are there?
Yeah.
And I said Old and New Testament.
Okay.
That's it.
And what you're invoking when you say versions.
Don't go into what I'm invoking.
Okay. What's it mean to have different versions of the Bible?
What do you mean? What does it mean to have different versions of the Bible?
You said there's different versions. What does that mean?
My belief, is that I believe in the first ever, Torah that was revealed to Prophet Musa.
Okay, then you believe in different versions
No.
of the words of God. Why? Because
I believe in
if
the original.
okay, I believe in the original Bible, that being the Old and New Testament.
That's not the original Bible.
Okay, and how is that the case?
Because the Injil was given to
Injil was-
Israelites.
Okay, and can you demonstrate that the Quran is historically accurate? Okay, how well the Birmingham Quran has two portfolios. That's Surah 22 and Surah 28. It's not a complete Quran.
Then there's the one in Egypt as well.
It's not a complete Quran.
There's some of them are quite complete. I don't know which one's which.
Not at the time of your prophet, or not at the time of your prophet.
Do you know the biggest issue for me?
So what does it mean to have the original books? By the way, I've got a question.
Say that again.
The original books. You said that you do not have the original Bible. What does it mean for you to possess the original text?
Well, you need to have something physical, innit? Like a manuscript.
Oh, so a manuscript at the time of these people.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't even have that within Islam.
No, if you do, you don't have the. You can now use the argument Dead Sea
We don't
Scrolls.
have that in Islam.
Yes, we do.
Where within Islam do we have?
Go to Egypt, go to Turkey. Go
Okay,
to
and are these are not complete Qurans at the time at the time of your prophet? They're not.
Well, you know where you need to go.
What's your
Well, my take is that antiquities, for example, has a chain of transmission to which historians. So, let's look at Greek philosophers, right? So, the first complete codex of Aristotle's work, I believe, is within the 7th century. The work of Holmes, a Greek philosopher, is 500 years after he
That's
lived.
not my question.
No,
My question
I'm
is,
giving.
what's the
Hold
issue
on.
with Islam?
My
What's the issue with the Quran?
sorry, I misheard you. My issue with Islam is that
Quran, sorry.
the Quran.
Yeah.
The Quran is just going to be reduced to the prophethood of Muhammad. I don't believe in the prophethood of Muhammad as he is not consistent with the previous traditions of both Islam, Christianity and Judaism.
He is consistent with the original.
Can I give you an argument then?
The original.
Can I give you an argument? Okay, I'm going to give you a syllogism.
I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is consistent with the original.
Okay, so
Torah
let
and
me
Injil.
give you an argument for if both. So
Do you believe in
premise.
Trinity, by the way?
Pardon?
Do you believe in Trinity?
Yeah, and we can go to that in one moment, but we're going to speak about Prophet Muhammad. So premise one, in order for a prophet to be part of a prophetic tradition, it must confess an identical conception of God, i.e. if both Moses and Muhammad are part of a line or tradition of prophets, they must confess an identical conception of God. Do you agree?
I don't understand what you said, bro.
If both Moses and Muhammad are part of the same line of prophets, they must
As in, like,
confess
as in like
a line of. You say Muhammad is the seal of the prophets, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is a line of prophets.
Okay.
Okay, and in order to be part of this line, you must confess the same God. If Moses and Muhammad,
as in one God.
no, in case of Allah, because one God,
No, one God.
one God is not
There's
sufficient.
only one God.
One God is not sufficient.
Allah, God, Ilaha, whatever.
Yeah.
is same-
One
same.
God is not sufficient in outlining continuity because
Yes,
there's
it
different
is.
conceptions of one God.
No.
So, for example,
What do you mean, bro? One
the
God,
Sunni,
one all-powerful being.
the Sunnis don't believe in divine simplicity. So, if for example,
I don't know what you're talking about.
okay, let me make this simpler. Let's just say,
Let's start on like a.
okay,
a
one
very-
God, one.
like a child.
There are
can understand,
other, okay, there are other religions which claim to have one God, right? Now, if for example, okay, let's just say Moses believed that there's a statue which is fully the one God. Now that's not Allah. Now I'm giving you a hypothetical.
But why are you giving a hypothetical for that?
Okay. Someone that believes in one God will not always believe in Allah. For example, someone can believe a statue is the one God, and you would believe that this is shirk, would you not?
Idol worship, even in Christianity. is
Of
shirk.
course, but you
It's-
can
you
be
can't
you can
do idol
worship
worship.
idols whilst also claiming monotheism, saying
No, you
that
cannot.
yes you can. You can
you
worship
cannot.
one statue and say this is my one God.
No, you can't.
This tree right here, that's my one God.
No, you can't because if I make the same one, now there's two.
No, because they're going to say that all of statues have the presence of one God. Or for example, we can conceptualize of a classical theistic God.
Theological, bro.
How about this then? One God which denies to be Allah, right?
What do you mean?
A God they believe, but they deny Allah. So this God announces to people that he's not Allah. Now, obviously, because this God claims to be necessarily true,
God that
he's not
announces
Allah.
To people, that's not Allah. How does
He's
that
not
make
Allah.
sense, bro?
He is not the Islamic deity. You can concept. You agree that whenever you speak of one God, for example, a Sikh believes in one God, you're not always going to be speaking about Allah, because Allah and Tawheed is a doctrine exclusively within
I
Islam.
think. Are you basically saying that your idea of Allah is a separate God from what everyone else believes?
No,
Is
what
that
I'm saying is whenever you're speaking of one God, you're not always speaking about Allah. That's the quantifier shift fallacy.
When I don't get it, bro.
Okay, other religion. You agree that there's other monotheistic religions,
Yes, I do.
like Judaism, and does Judaism hold to Allah?
Your conception of Allah is like separated.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like Islam has a
when
separate
we say
God,
Allah,
and
yeah.
Jews have a separate God or something.
Wait, yeah, because one either okay,
my
one
God is your God.
yeah, of course, because there's one God that exists, but these people
They're just
confess.
mentioned in different ways.
Yeah.
If
No,
you go to Africa, they might call God in a different way.
wait. Now you're becoming a Sikh with this idea that all roads lead to the one God. Now
No. I'm
you
saying
affirm that
different
one of these
traditions-
7 major
No, wait.
sins.
Different traditions affirm
Yeah.
that there's one God.
Does the Jewish
And-
God really exist?
Wait. They affirm in different languages. So it doesn't necessarily mean that like a Nigerian could say a different name for Allah. or for God.
I agree. Names are just
They're talking
meanings
about the
according
same
to their
creator.
context. I agree, but if their theological conceptions of this one God are not identical, it's not the same God. Or if they don't possess essential
If the
properties.
Theological conceptions.
yes. So like
That's just-
if the
that's,
properties
that's
of God,
subjective.
okay, let's just say Allah loves people, right? He's the most loving.
The creator. Let's say the creator. Yeah.
Okay, the creator. Give me
God,
the name of
one
Allah.
God. Huh?
Give me a name of Allah.
One of the names of Allah.
Yeah.
One of the attributes. Yeah.
Okay, how about this? Does Allah love people?
Does the creator love people? Yes, of course.
Okay. I can believe in one God that does not love someone else.
You can believe.
That does not love anyone.
You can believe in a God.
If I confess one God that does not love people, this is not Allah, but he doesn't exist, he just exists within my mind. Now, what I'm saying is believing in one God, just that sole proposition, is not sufficient continuity. Why? Because when you speak of one God, you're not always speaking about the God that really exists, which in your case is Allah. Rather, it could just be a God which exists only exclusively within my mind because it really does not exist and it is separate from the God that really does exist, that being Allah. Now, if this is true, confessing one God is not sufficient principle and allowing for continuity.
3 in 1 is.
Pardon?
Having 3 in 1 is.
Oh, so we just immediately go to the Trinity when I'm questioning Muhammad.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're saying.
Okay. When you speak,
Like I said,
every
can you do it from a ground
okay,
level where like
Jews do not. Do you believe that Jews do not believe in Allah? Jews do not believe in Allah. Do Jews believe in Allah?
They believe in one God, you know that.
Do they believe in Allah?
Do
Do the Sikhs believe in Allah?
they believe in one God.
Do they believe in Allah? That's not my question.
Why are you separating Allah from different creators?
Because one God is just one God is being one is just a characteristic. Being one God is not a subject; it's an adjective.
Wait, can I just confirm something to you?
One God is an adjective; it's not a subject.
When we talk about Allah
Yeah.
as Muslims, we believe that Allah is the creator of everything.
Okay, Allah is the subject. Allah is this. Okay, think about it like this. Separate this for me. 1 second. So don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. So Allah is the subject. What? A subject
Can you back up though?
is just a referent. Okay.
What you need to understand is, the concept of God, the term God. That's your concept. That's the English language.
Okay,
We
great.
use the term God.
So-
we have like the creator.
Okay.
We
So
understand
okay.
Allah.
So
This God thing, that's
whenever you speak of one God, let me just say this then. I'm going to simplify it.
The
But
one creator that
yeah.
you believe is the same as my creator.
Yeah, but I may not believe in this
I
creator.
don't say, oh,
Can I?
Jesus or
Okay,
this or that.
this God
Don't
may.
separate us.
I really don't think you're understanding this. This one God.
I don't understand English.
No, you don't understand what I'm saying.
I don't.
Okay,
You're right, I don't.
so this one God may exist, but I do not therefore confess this God.
That's fine. That's your belief. Right?
Okay, beautiful. So, if I confess one God, which is different from Allah, it means I do not confess the God that really exists. Do you get me so far?
Then that's your issue, bro.
Okay, beautiful. We're getting somewhere. Okay, so believing in one God, which is an adjective to the subject, is not sufficient continuity. Why? Because you agree that I can confess one God that is not Allah.
But that's your issue,
That's
bro.
your issue.
Oh no, that goes back to my argument. Point 1. In order for a prophet to be a part of a line of prophets, they must confess an identical conception of God. Point 2.
You must confess an identical perception of God.
Yes.
I think you're looking into it too deep, bro.
Wait. So there's a possibility where, for example, Moses confesses a God to which loves no one, and Muhammad that confesses a God that loves everyone. You think that's a possibility?
All of these theories, like possibilities and
No.
stuff.
If you disagree to point 1, you allow for the possibility of what I'm saying.
No.
You believe in a God that can contradict itself. That's all I'm saying. If you disagree with point 1.
I don't agree with anything you're saying right now.
Okay, so point 1 then follows.
Huh?
Point 1 therefore follows. If you disagree
No,
with point 1,
that's-
Allah can then contradict himself in revelation given.
Whatever information you're given, yeah, it sounds like it's your own problems in your own head. I don't believe whatever you're
Okay,
saying.
then let me argue it. You agree with point 1.
Argue with a mirror, bro.
If you do not agree with point 1, you therefore concede that Allah can contradict himself.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, you don't agree. You don't agree with point
creator
1.
of Christianity.
Believe whatever you want to believe.
No, I'm giving you asked me why I don't
creator-
believe in
the crea-
Muhammad.
the one
You
who
asked
revealed
me
the Torah,
why
the
don't
one
be
who
difficult.
revealed the
You
Injil,
said that you
the
want to
one who
discuss on
revealed the
Muhammad.
Quran,
Yes.
they're
That's a
all
claim. Let's
consistent.
test that.
They're all consistent.
Okay, so let's go through that. I'm going to go through an argument. Now again,
I don't believe
if
the
you
creator
disagree,
can make mistakes.
if you disagree, of course, if you agree to that proposition, you therefore agree with point 1. Allah has to be consistent with his revelation with the previous prophets.
Allah, the creator, God,
Yeah.
is consistent.
Okay, beautiful. So that means that in order to be part of a prophetic tradition, they must confess an identical God. Why? Because Allah cannot make
What's the
mistakes.
definition of an identical God?
Yeah, all of the attributes
What's an-
or their conceptions
What's
must
the
be
attributes of
identical.
God? What's the attributes of the creator?
Its characteristics.
Which is what?
Oh, like for example, what you would say about Allah.
No, what I say. What do you say?
No, it's about the prophethood of Muhammad. That's what I'm arguing.
Oh.
Okay.
You know, when he first came here, I asked about his belief. Then he came to
No, you asked me.
Then
You
I-
verbatimly asked me why I do not believe in Muhammad. I'm giving you an argument. So point 1, you agree
I
to.
said, why do
Point
you believe in
2,
Muhammad?
we can't
I didn't
use.
say why don't
No,
believe in
you
Muhammad.
you
I said, why do-
you verbatimly said, and you said,
Verbatim
why
doesn't
do
mean
I not?
verbatim words. You take the words that come in out of my
Verbatim
mouth.
means quoting them directly. Now, you said why I don't believe in Muhammad. I am giving you an argument. You agree with point one. If you disagree with point one,
Words into our mouth and then
He's just putting words in our mouth.
okay,
I'm trying to say
are you scared? Okay,
No, no, no,
you
no, no,
said
no,
on
no,
camera
no,
you want to
the
discuss
question
about
that was
Muhammad.
asked-
I'm scared.
I'm giving you an
the question that was
argument.
asked was
Yeah.
why do you believe in Christianity?
Well,
You
I
can't
can-
flip it over and say, oh,
Well, as
oh,
soon as I
Muhammad,
attempted to
what
give
do you mean?
as soon as I attempted to give an answer by identifying the trains of transmission coming out of antiquity, you asked me what is my issue with Islam, to which I am attempting to give you an answer by giving you a syllogism. Yeah, my issue with my Quran. The issue with the Quran is that my issues with the Quran are just reducible to the prophethood of Muhammad. If Muhammad is true, therefore the Quran is true. Okay, you agree with that. Now, if I were to bring an argument to demonstrate that Muhammad is not a true prophet, which I'm trying to do, it would therefore disprove the Quran. Beautiful. Now let's go back to my argument. If you disagree with point one,
You're making sense now for some reason. I don't know
okay,
why.
if you disagree with point
One of
one,
them came along and started making
if
sense.
you disagree with point one, that Allah, in terms of the chain of prophets, they have to confess the same God. Because if you disagree with that, you're therefore allowing for Allah to commit errors in His revelation given.
Bro, the way you're wording things, yeah, is as if you want me to say something that doesn't align with my beliefs, so you can just use it against me, bro.
Well, that's kind of what an argument is.
You're basically trying to disprove the prophethood, isn't it? So
Yes.
what would disprove the prophethood of Muhammad?
Continuity.
What do you mean? Explain.
Okay, continuity is what I'm trying to demonstrate in point one. A necessary precondition for a prophet to be true or can be true is that they confess the same God of the previous prophets.
Okay.
You agree?
Okay.
Okay, that's point one done. Point two, we can't use.
That would mean we have to look at the attributes of.
No,
the
we
gods.
have to look at the conception of Allah that Muhammad
No.
speaks about.
No, you said they need to be in line with the attributes of
Well,
the previous.
that was an example. So they need
What do you
need to
mean
look
example?
they need to look at holistically what Muhammad says about God, and if this is allowed within, for example, the previous prophets and what they say about God.
Okay, that relies on the original Injil, the original.
Well, I never said that.
No, that's what it aligns with. It doesn't align with anything
Well,
changed.
oh,
after.
okay, beautiful. So let's continue on with this argument and see where we end up. Point two, we have to use an independent source in order to assert continuity, as to not to lead to circular reasoning. Why? Because if we utilize the Quran in order to demonstrate that Muhammad is in continuity with the previous prophets, it's a circular argument because you're using the Quran to prove Muhammad and you're using Muhammad to prove the Quran. You agree?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, if I use the Quran to prove Muhammad and use Muhammad to prove the Quran, which you agreed initially, the Quran reduces to prophethood of Muhammad, that's circular.
It's like using the Vedas to prove Krishna.
Or it's like me to
You can
say,
explain it better. I don't know.
So he's basically trying to say that in order for Muhammad to be a true prophet, the correctness conditions, or what someone must need to be a true prophet, is that they're in continuity or in line with the prior beliefs of the other prophets, right? They can't contradict that. But then he's also saying that in order to establish that Muhammad is in continuity with all these other prophets, you must show that from an independent source outside of just Islamic tradition, right? But the problem that you're going to have is that if you try to appeal to an independent source, although he's not going to say it, you're going to have to appeal to the Bible, which is going to contradict Islamic beliefs. So the problem is that you can't actually verify Muhammad as a true prophet because the only source you can use is one that Islam already affirms, which is the Quran and Injil.
No,
The Quran.
Yeah.
The Quran affirms the original Injil, so the original Bible.
yeah, and that's the point.
Original Torah.
That's the point, you don't
If we
have
have,
it.
no, what do you mean?
If you agree, that's the point. You can, if you say that all of the messages are corrupted, right? That therefore means there's no way of proving prophethood of Muhammad.
Bro,
That's the
I don't
point.
think you understand it.
If
What's the Ten
you
Commandments?
if you say right,
Ten Commandments.
the Ten Commandments, right? Well, the first one were just not to be worshipping anything but God, right? Okay, beautiful.
Which aligns with the Quran.
Okay, that aligns with the Quran, but it's not sufficient
Does the
continuity.
Quran even list the Ten Commandments
It
itself?
entails them,
But
so
it
it
doesn't,
implies
doesn't
them.
list them, for example. It doesn't
terms
list
of,
the
like-
Sabbath day or anything like that. It
Yeah.
doesn't say keep the Sabbath.
Yeah, well, that's just prudence.
So basically, the original Torah, obviously revealed to Prophet Moses, that was given to them, those people at the time. They had different commandments to follow.
Yeah, they did say the Sharia is different.
The same
Yeah.
in Christianity, it's the same thing. they had different commandments that came to those people
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
So when it's come to now Prophet Muhammad, and obviously that situation, it's obviously going to be different.
I
but
think
still, if you're talking about
Core
Sabbath,
principles are still the same.
Yeah,
still
I think the
same.
problem that you're going to have is that when you try to establish that the core beliefs are the same from Muhammad and the other prophets, anytime that you try to appeal to the other prophets, you're going to have to appeal to the original Torah and Injil. But the issue is that, well, at least according to you guys, we don't have the entirety of the original Torah and Injil. And if you do look to the current Torah and Injil for it, you're going to have to interpret it in such a way that you can only utilize the parts that already agree with your narrative. But that's a circular.
But again,
Yeah,
like,
but then again, that's not.
like you
our
can't
fault, is
use.
it? If we've been corrupted, what can we do?
Yeah, exactly, and that's the point. You've set yourself up. Now, I've got a question. Like, if we were doing a formal dialect, right, and you use, if you bring up
it feels like you're just attacking me instead of having a
Okay.
discussion.
If in a formal dialect, right, and you use the Ten Commandments to assert some continuity, can you demonstrate that the Ten Commandments are not the forgeries to which you're speaking about?
Bro, can you explain what you said, please?
Can you demonstrate the Ten Commandments are not corruptions? You said the Torah is incorrupt,
so
right?
for example, you earlier on said that, well,
I'll leave
we
this
know.
up to you.
So,
Yeah, sure.
So because
So,
like, obviously
This is his argument, by the way. You just stay in the conversation because it's your argument. I'm not
yeah.
like the guy for this. But basically, he's saying earlier on to show that Muhammad is in line with the continuity of the prior prophets, you appealed to the Ten Commandments and said, in general, he agrees with those. His issue is that for anything that you appeal to that the prior prophets believed outside of the Quran and Hadith, you're going to be appealing to a source in which you can't verify because you say it's corrupted.
Exactly,
Yeah.
But then that's not to us, is it? We ain't corrupted it.
That's
when
you've set
That's the
yourself
point
up
of
to
his
fail.
argument.
No, we haven't said that fair. We are not in doubt of what we believe.
way of
Well, yeah, okay, so that's the point of his argument, right?
The thing is, we know for certain our scriptures have not been corrupted.
Okay.
So we know that they've been preserved, and that's
Okay.
it. That's fine for us.
Okay,
I
but
think the preservation of the Quran.
The
gives us
preservation
the,
is a manifest
it gives
itself.
us
Like, that's it.
Well, let's go back to the argument. You firstly agreed that in order for Muhammad to be the prophet, it must confess continuity, right? Be consistent with the previous
explain,
prophets.
So he's okay. So he's just
Translate, sorry,
he's just reiterating his first point, which was just that earlier you said that if someone is a true prophet, let's say Muhammad in this instance, then they must be in line with the prior beliefs of the previous prophets. They don't contradict core principles such as Tawheed, for example, right?
Yeah, Tawheed
No
is
prophet would disagree
practically
on that, for
the main
example.
thing. Yeah.
Yes. So then I believe where you're going with this is you're going to ask the question, well, even if you do want to say it's not your fault that it's corrupted, the issue is that you set yourself up when you say that it is, because then you have no way of verifying whether he is a true prophet or not, because you can't tell whether he has the same beliefs as the prior prophets.
So because we believe that the Quran has been preserved and we can back that up as well, then the information that comes out of it, whatever aligns with the beliefs of the Christians and the Jews, we take.
But okay, so
anything that goes against it, because of the preservation of itself, then we reject.
so then that's his point, right? Then you're proving that Muhammad is a prophet using the Quran, which is a circular
The Quran is
argument.
it's sufficient.
But
Okay.
I'm sure there's.
But then his question is just going to be, how do you know the Quran is
Yeah,
true?
go back into
But then,
preservation.
I don't know which.
I don't
version
think
or which part of the
preservation
Bible
proves a document is true, though.
That confirms the coming of the Prophet Muhammad about with the Middle East from Arabia. There is that as well.
Like
But again,
Sikhism is like a relatively new religion. I imagine their manuscripts are preserved, but it doesn't demonstrate it's true. Like,
Well, the Book of Mormon by Joseph Smith.
Yeah.
It's out after the printing press. They've got the Book of Mormon in what Joseph Smith wrote. That doesn't mean that Mormonism is true and that everyone becomes their own god and all the crazy things Joseph Smith believed, right?
I
So
think the main issue here, especially for me when I come here and speak to people, is the preservation of text. Like, my issue personally is that I would question or counter argument is that how can you take information of something that claims to be the word of God when there's clear-cut contradictions and different versions? Whereas for me, my belief, there's only one Quran.
So I think what you're referring to as different versions is a slight.
No, not just different versions, but
you can
also
do it now. I'm
contradictions.
cold.
Okay, yeah.
So, like,
So
if for example, that brother there, that brother there, if I come and ask them to read a certain surah of the Quran, they'll both read it perfectly. They have it in their head, which is memorized by a lot of Muslims.
But I don't personally. I don't think that that's a proof of the Quran.
That's proof of preservation.
But preservation doesn't prove a document to be true. Is the problem that he's
But
raising.
then actually,
It's
the
an oral tradition.
argument for that. Okay, against
But
that
there
is
are oral traditions for
but
lots
the
of
thing
documents,
is,
like the
but
Torah has an
Quran
oral
has a
tradition.
test in there. If you think or there's any contradictions in the Quran or any flaws in the Quran, then prove it. That's an open challenge in the Quran. That I don't know where the Quran
itself
says that.
as well.
It says if this document is from other than Allah,
Yeah.
there would be many contradictions in.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's an argument for that document being true?
No, but then it challenges the person that prove something like it. Then at least.
Yeah,
So I
Allah in the
think
Quran
that-
says to bring a verse like this.
Yes.
If you claim to be truthful, basically.
So I think the problem with that is that argument commits a fallacy known as affirming the consequent. So basically what it's doing is it's saying if P, therefore Q, if the Quran is true, then no one can copy this verse, right? And then it's saying Q, no one can copy this verse,
It's not saying it like that.
therefore P, no, the Quran is true. It's like
It's not
saying
saying it like that.
it's like saying if the room is dark, the light is broken. The room is dark, therefore the light is broken. Just because the room is dark
don't see
doesn't
that.
mean the light's broken. It could be turned off, right?
I get what you're saying, but I don't think that's the way the Quran is trying to say it.
Well, you said that the Quran uses as a proof for itself that because it can't be imitated.
The preservation confirms the authenticity of the Quran.
Okay, so
And secondly,
but
for the
you
people that want to basically challenge the Quran, Allah, God, the Creator, has said to those people to bring a verse like it,
yes,
and no one has been able to.
So, but I'm saying that argument itself is fallacious, right? The one that you just listed from the
God's
Quran
argument.
itself. Yeah, but okay. So then the problem is that God is making a fallacious argument, right? Because
believe he can
it's
do that.
affirming the
I don't
consequent.
believe God can do that.
Okay, that's the point, right? If Allah is God and He's infallible, He can't make a fallacious argument.
Let's
This is
use
a
the
fallacious
Creator,
argument.
because the
Therefore, Allah is not God.
Let's use the term creator, yeah, because when we use the term creator, we're both talking about the same.
Yeah,
right?
or the creator, right? The creator can't make a fallacious argument, but this is a fallacious argument. Okay, do you know what the affirming the consequent fallacy is?
No.
So affirming the consequent is going to be if I say, so normally we have in logic something called modus ponens, right? So it's going to be if P, therefore Q, P, therefore Q.
I said
But
to him,
this argument says, this argument
I need a
here.
better understanding. Like, I'm not really learning.
Okay, I'll
but
give
I
you
need like
an
a
example,
learn
right?
Stage one, yeah, I'm
If
not that learned
if
yet, so-
I'll put it into like a normal argument.
yeah, make it like
If Socrates is a man, Socrates is mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is immortal, right? Meaning Socrates can die. So that's a valid argument. The problem
I
here.
don't see how it relates. Like, I don't see
Okay,
how
so the problem here is that this is doing the opposite. Instead of saying if P therefore Q, P therefore Q, it's saying if P therefore Q, Q therefore P, right? So that's called affirming the consequent.
I don't think that applies here.
Yeah, it does, because if I'm saying if the Quran is from Allah, it is imitable, right? Nothing can be imitated from it. Okay, then you're saying nothing can be imitated from the Quran, therefore the Quran is from the Creator. That's an example of going if P therefore Q, Q therefore P. It's in the wrong
We
order.
never mentioned the imitation. We said in the Quran is a test, open test. If you think this is, the condition in the Quran, or it can prove it wrong, then do so. It's an open challenge.
It's simple as that.
But that's an argument for the Quran, right?
No, that's the creator himself saying that.
Yeah, to prove me wrong.
If you can prove
Yes,
the Quran,
so an
then
argument for the
prove it.
Quran being from the Creator.
It's an open challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so if it's an
situations like
argument, so if it's an argument from the Creator of the universe that this book he's revealing is his speech itself, and then we find this argument for himself, which commits the fallacy of affirming the consequent, then we know it can't be from the Creator because it's a fallacious argument.
I don't think that.
So why don't you
In
think it's a
in
fallacious
very
argument?
simple terms, let's say for example now, yeah. All right, cool. How can I relate to something here? If 1 + 1 is 2,
Yep.
yeah. If you disagree, prove it otherwise.
Yeah. So
That's
we
it.
could, yeah, but that itself is not the proof for 1 + 1 = 2. That's just
No,
you saying if you
challenging
disagree
you to
with
bring
that.
the proof.
Yeah, but the problem is that you are stating the Quran to be using this as a proof for itself.
Because like I mentioned before, the preservation affirms the authenticity of it.
But preservation of a document doesn't prove it to be true. There are
Those
phone
oral
books
traditions
which.
to begin with.
Yeah, but there are oral traditions for lots of things
That
which
weren't
you don't
preserved.
consider to be
But they
true.
weren't preserved.
So if
My man in
I
Indonesia can recite the same Quran that I do.
okay, so if I create a mass transmitted oral tradition of a false statement, for example, this statement, this sentence is a lie, and I get people to memorize that across different continents, does that therefore make it true?
If that statement stayed the same through the next hundreds of years, then yeah, it's been preserved.
So then the proposition, this sentence is a lie, that in this hypothetical world has been preserved, that is a true proposition.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
See? A lie can be just as easily preserved as a
The
truth.
bus has 4 wheels. Let's say
Yes.
that. The bus has 4 wheels. If that statement remained true for the next 1,000 years, then it's been preserved.
Yeah, but we're not
Once it
talking.
began.
Okay, so truths to be true, I think we would all agree, aren't contingent upon humans just preserving them via an oral tradition, right?
just oral,
For
it's a practical
example,
tradition as well.
for example,
It's a
we
daily
can
thing,
discover many things about reality just through human reasoning and logic, which aren't massively oral transmitted. So oral tradition isn't something that makes something to be true. It makes it true that it has been mass memorized, but it doesn't make the actual content within the book itself true.
If it's the same from the beginning of when it was revealed until now, if it's the same, then it has been preserved.
Yeah, no, but the argument isn't whether it's been preserved, it's whether it's true.
The preservation affirms the truthfulness of it, the authenticity.
But I think we're going around in a circle because we've already established, right, that something can be preserved, which is a lie. Like,
But then if you look at the
said that. I
Quran,
didn't say that.
if you
okay,
go,
but do you think it's impossible that I could get people from different continents to memorize one statement, and the statement is, this sentence is a lie?
No, but the sentence you're using, the
but
sentence
the issue
is a
is
lie.
here, you're talking about you get the whole Quran and then you break it down to one statement that you say to preserving that. You can't use that same argument. However, another thing I would say is that if you look into the Quran, whatever the context of the Quran, what it says about the prophecies, about science, or you name it, whatever subject you want to look into the Quran, if there's a falsehood in it, then you need to prove it that the Quran says this, but this does not exist, or this is proven to be wrong. But there's no proof like that, is there?
But I think the issue is
I'll give you an
'cause
example. During the time when the Quran was revealed, 40 centuries ago, embryology was not a known thing.
It was known in Aristotle.
It
was known 1,000 years before in Aristotle. It was.
We didn't know the for
The
example,
specifics
the specific
of the
details of
minute details.
Yeah.
But then
We did it. It was recorded in Aristotle. But even when the Quran says that,
even
right?
about the
wait,
seas,
but
the seas not mixing.
But when the Quran says that about embryology, the usual Muslim response that I hear is that they say that the ordering of that isn't correct, or that the English translation of that ordering isn't ordered. Because if you do say the ordering of it is correct, then you'd have to say that a baby's bones form before its flesh. But that no embryologist believes that. That's just not true.
I don't know about the whole details.
That-
but
that's what the
I'm
verse
just giving a
says.
hypothetical example.
that the bones were formed before the
Yeah,
flesh.
so if we pull up, I'll pull up this. We'll pull up the verse now if you'd like. I think it's sort of 23, is it?
Let's see.
I'll pull up the verse now. But if you actually look at it, it would be a scientific inaccuracy rather than an accuracy. Embryology Quran verse.
You've done
Sir-
research on this yourself, yeah?
I've done a little bit. Surah 23, ayat 14.
Yeah, show me.
Okay, then we developed the drop into a clinging clot, then developed the clot into a lump of flesh, then developed the lump into bones, then clothed the bones with flesh. Then we brought it into being as a new creation, so blessed is Allah, the best of creators. But notice there it says, then clothed the bones with flesh.
What verse is it?
No, Surah 23, ayah 14. So no embryologist ever in the history of science has said that bones form before flesh in embryology. That's a scientific inaccuracy, not an accuracy that you've said.
So you're referring to the clot as a flesh?
So it says here, then we clothed the bones with flesh.
No, you scientifically you're saying that the flesh came before the bones.
No, I'm saying that they develop at the same time, according to embryologists. It's not just that the baby's a skeleton and then the skeleton gets like flesh
To
put
be
onto
fair,
it.
I don't know, but I'll have a look into that. But
Okay,
I
but
don't
that
think-
is an inaccuracy scientifically.
No. I mean, again, I don't believe that the bones and the flesh were done at the same time. Whatever states there, scientifically is proven, especially the clot.
So
That's referred to as a leech. Actually
Yeah.
looks like a leech.
so then the issue.
That first part alone is enough proof for me to then continue.
Okay, but firstly, that's already discussed in figures like Aristotle thousands of years prior to the Quran. But if you're just going to say that scientific discoveries which if you say that scientific discoveries which contradict the Quran aren't true, but the ones that
didn't say that.
it might, but you
it
said
doesn't contradict.
but you said if modern embryology contradicts what was just said there, then modern embryology would be
I don't
false,
believe
not
it,
the
yeah. I need
Quran.
to do research on it.
But then my
haven't come
problem
across
is,
anything.
but my problem is then if you then try to say science proves the Quran, you're just
say
looking at it through a biased lens, because then what science affirms about the Quran is true, but what it disconfirms is not true.
According to you, I didn't say that.
But I think we've done well to establish here that this is at least a scientific inaccuracy in the Quran. You can put a pin in.
I didn't say that, bro.
But don't forget, at the end of the day, you're
Maybe
basing
two,
off a
maybe two.
translation.
So
as well.
do you
According
think
to your
that?
research. If you bring me your research and can show me, all right, cool, this is scientifically how it's done.
Okay.
It doesn't align with the Quran.
So do you think the skeleton of a baby formed before its flesh?
The clot is the flesh. It starts off as a flesh, no?
Yeah, but it says the clot, and then it goes
Hold
on
let me
to
understand what you're
then.
trying to say. Are you saying
I'll read you the verse again.
what's your intake on how the baby's formed in the womb?
I take from modern scientists. I don't think the Bible itself is a scientific text that's purpose is to describe that to me. So I take it from modern science.
From your research,
But
what
this, well, from my research, they form together at the same time, the bones and the flesh. This says, then developed the lump into bones. So notice the clot, which is the lump, gets developed into bones, and then those bones get clothed with flesh, right? So, what do you think?
You're showing me just affirms the authenticity of the Quran. I don't
But
know. I don't
it
know.
doesn't, because it's
It
saying
does.
that
So
a
show me the
baby's.
research you found.
Okay, can you answer me this question?
Show me the research.
Has a woman ever miscarried a skeleton?
Show me-
Just
show
the
me-
skeletal bones of a
By the
baby.
way, Al-Keith Moore himself, if you read Al-Keith Moore in his intro to embryology, page 280, I believe. I'm giving you.
He has a scientific source for what I'm talking
So
about.
if you read, I'll give you two sources: the National Institute of Health study of embryology, and also if you read Al-Keith Moore's intro to embryology, page 280, he says that muscle tissue and bone tissue are from the same cell mesodermin, so they grow
They
simultaneously.
grow at the same time.
Yes.
That's what I was saying.
When you can find the research to show me.
Yeah,
'Cause
go
we're
on the
having-
National
we're having
Institute of
time,
Health and just search up embryology.
Do you know if you can search that up for me?
Yeah.
So if he can just bring the source real quick, because he's saying essentially what I've said, right?
agree with
Because you've pointed to the fact that this is a scientific miracle, but the one scientific miracle you brought up not only is affirmed in prior philosophers before the Quran, but it's also actually an inaccuracy.
Sorry about that one second. I can
No
barely feel my
worries, we can
fingers.
get. Yeah, my fingers are freezing as well.
Yeah.
You might as well put that there, bro.
Oh yeah. Well, I might as well keep it here so that everyone's voice can be heard, rather than just my own. You said page 280.
No, this is from the
You
one
can
from
do a
National
word
Institute.
search if you want.
No, this is just from. Okay. Yep.
This time. We're about to pull up the source here. You know, you can do a word search, by the way, on my phone.
Sorry, I haven't used this argument in a while.
The way I look at evidence is, let's say, for example, you bring this evidence, I would then further research upon it.
Yeah.
The authenticity, or how the person that's given this research, how he was as a person, whether he's done anything, like, do you get? Like, I'd rather take sources from someone that's reputable rather than someone who isn't. If he has any bias against Islam, then clearly that's like.
I think this sort of creates sort of an argument against all scientific consensus. Because, for example, the site. Well, you do have to be neutral, but what we should look at isn't the character of the people presenting an argument or something like that, but rather the content of the argument itself.
No, the character matters a lot as well.
Okay, so do you think that
doctrine, the character matters?
So do you think that there is a massive conspiracy in the scientific community then to, for example, propagate beliefs such as evolution, which contradict maybe Quranic manuscripts?
There's a section of science that does propagate the belief of evolution, yeah.
But do you think that that's a big conspiracy? I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think that that's just that they look at evidence.
If it doesn't align with the Quran, then I don't really take it.
So then I go back to the same problem.
So talking about the preservation.
Yeah. So then I go back to the same problem before, right? Is that it doesn't matter how much evidence that you're given, because you always place the Quran over any evidence against it. Then it doesn't really matter about
the characteristics, their bias.
Yeah, but I suspect that even if I was to give you a consensus here, and there were people within this consensus that had good character, etc. Well, evolution could be a good example.
Is it a fact or a theory?
I think that gravity is also a theory, but it doesn't mean it's not a fact.
Huh? Gravity is a fact.
Theories can be factual. No, gravity is still a theory. Because, it relies on, for example, observation. So when I drop this...
Today something is happening, and tomorrow that thing was false or something. It's happened so many times. So many scientific theories. Yeah, exactly. There's so many
but just because something's a theory doesn't mean that it's false or untrue.
No, I'm not saying it's false or true, but it has happened many times.
Yeah, but gravity itself is also a theory.
I think gravity is a fact, though. You can prove gravity right now.
It's a theory that we would also say is a fact that we know.
No.
You could also say evolution.
If you can prove gravity, it then turns from a theory to a fact.
Well, no, because...
It's no longer a theory.
Well, gravity relies on experiments such as observation, right? So, for example, when I drop this and it goes down. But there's nothing that could hypothetically prevent it from not going down and then gravity being proven false in the very unlikely event tomorrow.
There's nothing preventing
but gravity was still true.
There's nothing preventing it from not going down.
No. So there's nothing. Of course, the law of gravity actually does prevent it from going down, right? But how do we know that that's true? Is by doing tests and observations, right? Yep. It's still a theory. Like, for example, the overwhelming amount of tests and observations, basically all of them, confirm gravity existing. But hypothetically, this bottle, if I dropped it, it might not go down. It will because gravity exists. However, we won't know that 100% as a fact. It's still a theory, but it's a factual.
ربكم يشوع ها هو آت ليدين الكون ويرعى القطيع ها إن الكون يهدر ويصيح تهدر وتصيح الأرض والسماء ما فائدة الذهب والفضة فليندثرا ولتشرق أنت يا ابن